All right, so I'd like to introduce Ramesh, who's one of our core organizers. Raise your hand. He's going to say hello. He's going to tell you good folks what Ignites are. There are another couple new folks that are here today, so you've got an exciting afternoon plan, and here you go.
Perfect. Thanks, Delali. So who here wasn't here yesterday? Just so I know. Okay. Okay, those, keep your hand up. Do you know what Ignites are? If you don't know, put them down. Okay. All right, so Ignites, I'll do the brief version of this. Ignites are 5-minute presentations. In those presentations, the speakers give me their slides, and I make 20, they're 20 slides, no more, no less, auto advance at 15-second increments. So they don't control their slides. Once they go up here, they give me a thumbs up, and I start the deck. And they start getting their slides. 15 seconds after each slide shows up, it goes to the next slide until they're done. They can't go over their 5 minutes. Otherwise, we'll start clapping and get them off the stage. We won't need to do that, though, because these guys have rehearsed very well. So, right? Right. Any questions on Ignites? Nope. All right. We're going to do a couple of things again today before we get started. Instead of me going up on the stage every time before and after each presenter and announcing the presenters, they're just going to announce themselves. That's going to allow the flow to be a lot more optimized. And again, like we did yesterday, the presenters are going to also answer what they think about Ignites. And they're going to do that before the timer starts, obviously. And so, without further ado,
howdy, I'm Eric, and what I think about Ignites is Ignite Karaoke, and I keep badgering the organizers to see if we can get some Ignite Karaoke going on later today. There we go, see? All right, ready whenever you are. Okay, so it always kind of annoyed me that I'd sit in the audience at DevOps Days talks and I'd hear about all of this magic greenfield unicorn nonsense and whatever they could do with their infrastructure when I was sitting there with giant legacy monoliths and not enough time to even fix the problems we already had. And it just blanked out. Dun, dun, dun. Microsoft PowerPoint has encountered a problem and needs to close. Do this off shoe. This is karaoke on hard mode.
this is what you get.
This is what I get, yeah. PowerPoint, you had one job. I was amplifying your joke.
All right,
No, I like hecklers. All right, we ready again?
we're going to
All
start
right,
you from the top. Ready?
from the top. Wait for it. Keep waiting. Is it actually showing it? Okay, cool. Ready. All right, so it always kind of annoyed me when I'd sit in the audience at DevOps Days talks and PowerPoint would kick out and everyone would hear the same joke over and over again. But it also annoyed me to hear about all these companies doing things that I couldn't do because I was sitting there and I barely had enough developer time to fix the problems I had and probably didn't even have that. And that's because to get to this high-functioning team nirvana, like we saw yesterday, it's a huge number of moving parts and it's a complicated subject. It can't be distilled down to just an easy do this button. But I'm going to try and recommend that you do just that. Get here. Make your deployments as easy as clicking the merge button on the PR of your choice, whether it's GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, whatever. It's jet fuel for your team's productivity. I'm talking about continuous deployment. Just again, like yesterday we heard, CD has a few varying definitions. So what I mean by continuous deployment is merge, build, verify, or merge, build, deploy, and verify. And when people hear about continuous deployment, the first thing they think is, we have to test all the things. We have to automate everything. We have to boil the ocean before we can possibly do any of this. And I'm here to tell you, there's a lot of tricks that you can do. You don't have to boil the ocean in order to get to continuous deployment beforehand. And the first thing is, you hear about continuous deployment, you hear about test coverage. We need to have test coverage. Everything needs to be fully automated. We need to do all that. It's actually an anti-pattern if you have 100% test coverage. It probably means you should be doing other things. And no release is bug-free. So instead, control your rollout by using tools like canary deploys, blue-green deploys, rolling deploys. Whatever tool and method it is that you use, just control the blast radius and make sure it's not 100% in one step. Your monitoring and telemetry should be covering it, right? And speaking of your monitoring and telemetry, keep it simple to start with. Verifying that your endpoint health is okay can be as simple as a static 200 OK check. So at a previous employer I worked at, we had a shifting, one trick I used to shift that monolith from once in a while deploys to continuous deploys was to do a CD Thursday. Sent out an email saying, hey, don't go through all the usual rigmarole, just click merge PR. This conditioned all of our developers to know what to expect. So we got to understand the behavior and condition them behind the scenes. And after a few Thursdays, we just left CD on and everyone was happy. But behind the scenes, each Thursday, we validated the automation that we were using. The first Thursday literally was a human version of a shell script. The human just sat there and did that set of commands for every merge we saw. The second Thursday, we automated that step, but we then manually checked it every time at every part of the progress, and so on and so forth. This let us catch corner cases, things like schema migrations, things where we had to change the end user's behavior. And it's kind of the Simpsons quote, if you do it right, in the end, no one thinks you've done anything at all. Of course, once you have developers committing a lot to one release branch, you're probably going to find some friction, especially if your developers are used to very long-lived feature branches. So help them. Build tools that can go out, look at pull requests, and automatically tag them, for example, with ideas of, hey, this is going to be this kind of problem. Don't make people do all the heavy lifting of collaboration. And this goes into visibility too, right? So now the developer just clicks merge, their comfort blanket's been taken away. Whether they can't hit Control-C or whatever previous big red button they had is, give them real-time feedback as the deploy is progressing through Slack messages or HipChat messages. One thing I thought developers actually hate, but they liked, was after a merge and after a deploy, especially because we had a lot of internal services, we put them on call for that service for 30 minutes in a shadow mode. So even if it wasn't the one that they owned, they still got to find out quickly if they had deployed a problem. It's fewer interruptions. Rather than showing you the obligatory up and to the right graph that everyone always does, I wanted to mention that the relevant metric here is deploys per day per engineer. 100 deploys a day sounds like a lot until you find out that that's an org with 10,000 people. So, like I said, organization problems are hard and rarely have push-button answers. And cultural change is even harder, especially if there isn't buy-in from everyone involved. So find the time to invest it into a reality. Try telling your management that you can free up 20% of their existing engineers' time with this one weird trick of continuous deployment. Industry trends come and go, microservices, monoliths, but increased ROI in your engineers is always in style. So just remember, start simple, keep it flexible, don't overcomplicate things or make it too much work for yourself up front. Continuous deployment is worth it. Thank you.